Okay, hello everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So actually there are 5 of us on the committee, but today it's just me and myself, because for various reasons our ladies couldn't be here. As Milling said, Kathleen is in Shanghai, but she promised to recruit at least her daughter for the AWC there. Susanne Hirschberg from AWC Düsseldorf will be joining us tomorrow, I believe. And Grace Christopher Silas from Athens and Jocelyn Fitzgerald can't be here for personal reasons, or they are saving their country's economy. But, so I'm afraid it's me, but Kathleen provided me with tons of paper and instructions, so I have to actually read her speech and instruct Milling what to do. And so will you appoint the 2 ladies later? Okay, afterwards. Right. So Kathleen writes, not that. As volunteers, whether for our member clubs and or for FAWCO, all of us help make the world go round. That spirit of service, social conscience and willingness to work as a team is invaluable to our home clubs and to FAWCO. I have an enormous amount of respect for everyone in this organization and wish to praise and acknowledge the commitment of all volunteers. The FAWCO board, in particular, deserves thanks for their time, talents, and tenacity carrying out our organization's business and taking FAWCO into the future. The 2011-2013 board has shown great energy and vision, and I know that our slate of candidates for the 2013-15 FAWCO board will manifest an equal abundance of energy and vision. Thank you for the confidence you have shown in entrusting the nominating committee with the task of recruiting the new board. We are honored. There are so many talented and dynamic women in FAWCO, all there, and we are confident we have found dedicated, skilled and inspiring women to lead this international organization. What is new about the FAWCO board? 3 of the officers are nominated for the first time, bringing their personal experience to the board. 2 are continuing on the board, giving FAWCO the benefit of their success and continuity. 1 is returning to a board position with great enthusiasm. What can we expect from the future? Continued support from women committed to serving FAWCO members, continued leadership and initiatives, continued development of relationship with member clubs, online communication upgrades, and that essential caring for others. FAWCO officers are called upon for a wide range of skills, and FAWCO is very lucky to have volunteers who welcome the challenge and will do the best that they can. So, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our nominations for the 2013-2015 FAWCO board. When I announce your name, would the candidate please come forward and stand in front of the podium or her picture? And after each candidate is introduced, I shall ask if there are any nominations from the floor. If someone is nominated from the floor, I shall ask that person if she agrees, and if so, to then give me her personal history form, which I happen to have here, at the end of this announcement, so it can be reviewed by the nominating committee. Don't think only because she's in Shanghai she can't review it. We do have internet connections. On Saturday, elections will be held and ballots distributed and collected soon after. An announcement will then be made shortly afterwards. Now I have a note here. I could make you a little, that lengthier biographies are available, but I won't say that because I know then you will all get out your books. So ignore that remark. Right, here we go. For treasurer, Diane Lettner. Would you come forward, please? She's from the AWC The Hague. And now I can keep this. Ha. Diane was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa, at the University of Nebraska. Diane earned a bachelor's degree in business administration and subsequently an MBA at Southern Illinois University. Married in 1974, Diane and her husband Lynn have 2 sons, Chance and Tyler. Diane has lived in several states, but most recently Texas, before moving to the Netherlands in 2008. For the past 4 years, the Netherlands have been home to Diane and has given her the opportunity to travel and experience many new customs. Diane has worked primarily in budgeting and accounting in both paid and volunteer positions. Soon after arriving, she joined AWC The Hague, and by June 2010 was actively involved as their treasurer until 2011. And then for the last 2 years, Diane has held the role of third vice president finance, interesting title, for the club. She's a member of the Honor Society for AACSB accredited business programs and been an active member in her local community through the parent-teacher organization, homeowners association, neighborhood newsletter editor, and Sunday school teacher. Her work experience and roles with the AWC The Hague assures the nominating committee that Diane would be an ideal choice for treasurer. FAWCO would benefit from her financial skills, while the board position opens up a fascinating new range of challenges for Diane. You didn't know that. In anticipation of the new role Diane wrote, my only involvement with FAWCO has been my association with the AWC of The Hague. I have come to realize the importance this organization plays in many areas, from laws and living overseas to helping those less fortunate. As treasurer, I would hope to become more familiar with the organization and contribute by providing help in areas in which I am capable. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the nominee for FAWCO treasurer, Diane. So I have to ask you, are there any nominations from the floor for treasurer? Anybody else would like to run for treasurer? Okay. Then, next position, Secretary Patty Meek. Sorry, sitting there. Patty, freshly acclaimed by her successful hosting as Dublin Conference Committee co-chair, has accepted the nomination of FAWCO Secretary. Patty was born in San Diego and lived in California until she graduated from the University of California, Davis in 1977 with a BS in Environmental Design. Go. Sorry. She lived in Alaska, working in engineering until she found it all too dull and traveled the world for a couple of years. Returning to San Francisco, she met her Irish husband Eamon, married and has 2 sons, Austin and Rory. When the boys were 2 and 4, they moved to Manchester, UK, and then on to Dublin, where they have settled happily these last 15 years. Patty joined the AWC Dublin in 1998 and has held a variety of positions, including treasurer and FAWCO rep. She attended her first FAWCO conference in 2011, was so enthusiastic that I was allowed to twist her arm, that she then volunteered to co-chair the 2012 FAWCO Conference Committee for the Dublin Conference. Patty is very active with non-profit organizations in Dublin, supports the boys' schools where she sits on the parents' committee. This was part in the past, right? Yeah. And has served for many years on the board management. Patty has also managed the Greystones Community Youth Orchestra, and for 12 years has been a member of her parish conference of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. We are very pleased that after co-chairing a FAWCO conference in Dublin and showing great organizational skills and teamwork, Patty is willing to continue her efforts for FAWCO. And she says, I feel that FAWCO is important not only in creating a wider community for expat American women and their families, but as a political body for the protection of our citizenship rights. As secretary, I feel that I can do my part by keeping the vital information that FAWCO provides flowing to members. I'm proud to welcome our nominee for FAWCO secretary, Patty Meeks. Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, good. Third Vice President for Committees, Laurie Richardson, AWA Vienna. Born in Pittsburgh, that's destiny, I tell you, on United Nations Day, and I Googled it and it was confirmed yesterday at our tour, that's the 24th of October. Laurie knew she was destined for international life when she visited the UN in New York at age 6. She grew up in a Navy family, moving every few years. After high school, Laurie spent a year as jeune fille au pair outside Paris. She studied international relations at Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service. Laurie started her international development career in Washington, D.C. and worked on projects in Sri Lanka, India, and Pakistan. Back in the US, she earned a master's in management at Yale University. Laurie worked on a book examining corporate social responsibility and then spent 2 years training AmeriCorps community service leaders. While living in Washington, D.C., Laurie was active with the Kalorama Citizens Association and Ada Montessori School Parents Association. She married her Austrian husband in 1997, and their son was born in 1999. In 2006, the family moved from Washington, D.C. to his home, Vienna. Laurie got involved with the AWE Vienna in 2007 as co-editor of the book Living in Vienna. She joined the AWE board in 2009 as vice president for programs and was president from 2010 to 12. In November 2010, she attended the FAWCO's Region 5 meeting in Munich and never looked back. Her first, as you know, Region 5 rocks, and so her first international conference was Marrakesh in 2011. Laurie is currently a FAWCO UN NGO representative in Vienna, as well as chair of FAWCO's 2013 to 15 Resolutions and Recommendations Committee. Drafting guidelines for FAWCO R&R priorities focused Laurie on our tremendous potential to have a positive impact in the world. She says it was a process of soul-searching about what FAWCO really does and what it means to be part of this organization. It was inspiring. I'm pleased to present as our nominee for third vice president, Laurie Richter. Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay. Now, second vice president for member clubs, Sally Chevalier. Woo! She is the member returning to the board, so she sort of knows what she's getting into. A native of Mansfield, Ohio, Sally has lived in Paris for over 25 years. After earning a BA in Russian Studies from Yale University and an MA in Soviet Studies from Harvard University, she worked for many years as an analyst of Soviet politics for the research divisions of Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty in Munich, Paris, and Washington. She and her French husband, François Marc, have 2 sons, Benjamin and Alexander. For many years, Sally has been an active volunteer in the Anglophone community in Paris, above all with the AAWE. A board member of AAWE Paris since 2003 and a member since 1995, Sally served as president, also membership chair, chair of the Education Bilingualism Committee, and co-editor of the 7th edition of the AAWE Guide to Education in France. She currently is AAWE's FAWCO rep, a position she has held since May 2010, as well as a member of the AAWE News staff, and has been AAWE liaison for the annual Paris College Days since 2004. Sally was completely bowled over by her first FAWCO conference in Lyon in 2007. She then volunteered to be bilingualism coordinator for the Educational Support Committee and took part in the face-to-face session at the 2008 conference in Seoul. At the 2009 conference in Vilnius, she participated in the Boost panel on club publications. In 2009, Sally served on the Target Selection Committee and was Finance Committee Chair for the 2010 FAWCO conference in Boston. Then she served as third VP for committees on the FAWCO board 2010 and 11. More recently, Sally served as a member on the 2011-2012 FAWCO Foundation Nominations Committee. Currently, Sally continues on the Education Task Force as co-chair, as a member of the Archives for the Future Committee, and as a member of the Resolutions and Recommendations Committee. Why don't I just... Everything you've done just She's honored at the prospect of joining the dynamic women of the FAWCO board as second vice president for member clubs. I'm very pleased to welcome Sally back. Are there any nominations from the floor?
Can't beat that. Not for that.
Okay, moving right along to first vice president for communications, Monica Jubaili from Dubai, AWA Dubai. Monica's achievements as FAWCO's current third vice president for committees and task forces have further developed her management skills and given her the experience needed to coordinate and continue developing the best communication strategy with our web manager, forum editors, PR, and advertising managers. Now here comes the test question whether you've been listening. Monica graduated with a double major in history and geography from the University of California, Davis. Like? Who else? Ah, very good. Good morning to the others. In 1972, she spent 1 year abroad at the American University of Beirut, AUB, in Lebanon, studying ancient history and archaeology. 39 years later, she's still in the Middle East, having married a Lebanese graduate student in 1974. They have 4 adult children all over the globe. She's actually the only one of this whole nominating all the candidates who has some girls. The others all have boys. So she's contributing some daughters here. So they have 4 adult children all over the globe. Monica earned a master's in education, teaching English as a foreign language at the AUB, and continued to teach throughout the years, from middle school to university. Since 2001, she has been teaching scuba diving and is in, whoever that might be, IA